Welcome. This chapter talks about a key marketing concept, that of the product life cycle, or PLC. The framework of product life cycle reflects the experience of marketers over many decades in launching new products and seeing how they progress in the marketplace. So this is the brief agenda for this session. We will discuss what the concept of product life cycle is and look at the typical new product development process followed by companies. So what is product life cycle? The product life cycle, PLC, is a widely familiar concept in marketing and is considered a useful marketing management tool. The product life cycle traces the stages of a product's acceptance from its introduction to its decline. Usually, this concept is used to analyze a new product form or a product category, such as smartphones as a product category, or online shopping, or fitness trackers, for example. However, the PLC concept can also be used to analyze the life of a brand, of a given company's brand. Here we will discuss as the concept applies to a product category, because this is how the concept is usually used by practitioners. So here is the graphical representation of a typical product life cycle. It represents the various stages through which a new product typically passes after launch. PLC is for a new product category, not a given brand. This graph represents how the industry-wide sales and profits are going to look like after a new product, such as, say, fitness trackers, is launched into the market. Some of the basic facts we can notice here is that a PLC has 4 stages: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Second, sales increase exponentially in the growth phase. That's why it's called growth. Third, sales flatten in maturity. There is little growth in the market. And fourth, industry sales actually start declining in the last phase, unless there is a renewal of some kind, some technological renewal. And lastly, the total industry profits for all companies, they peak a little earlier, as you can see, they peak a little earlier than when the sales peak in the maturity phase. You will see why that happens in just a short while. But remember, this does not mean that all products go through these 4 stages. Some products actually fail and never make it past the introduction stage. So these are the market characteristics in a typical introduction stage of a new product. Most importantly, sales are slow and they increase only slowly. People are unaware, so marketing costs are high. Product is expensive due to lack of economies of scale. And most companies are not showing profits, but they try to hang in there with hopes for the future. One key dilemma for companies in the introduction stage is about pricing. One option they have is to reduce the price and sell more of the product. It's called market penetration. The second option is that they can first sell the product at higher prices to people who can afford to pay, and then slowly reduce prices over time. To take up an example, Texas Instruments, that makes processors for computers and electronic gadgets, mostly follows market penetration when it launches a new product, while Intel, which also makes processors for computers, mostly follows market skimming. Try buying a new laptop with the latest, more powerful Intel processor, and you will find out what we mean here. Usually, if you expect a lot of competition to follow, you practice market penetration so as to achieve a foothold in the market before the competition arrives. Market skimming is usually practiced by companies that have a unique product and do not expect to face competition in the short run. Some products that are currently in the introduction stage are electric cars, hybrid cars, 3D televisions, electric bicycles, Even waterless washing machines. Yes, there is a product like that as well in the market. Waterless washing machines. No one knows whether they would be widely accepted and enter the next stages of the PLC. But one of the important responsibilities of marketers in this stage is to generate primary demand, not the demand for their brand, but for the product category in general. If the product is successful, usually next comes the growth stage in which sales increase fast, usually in the range of 10% a year or above. Many products such as smartphones, laptops, flat panel TVs, they have grown at rates of 30 and sometimes 40% in the past, and only now they are slowing down a little, but they are still in the growth phase. Fitness trackers, electronic readers, organic foods, that's a big industry these days, ride-hailing services such as Uber, etc., they all seem in the growth phase today. New competitors enter the field and some initial profits are reported. Since there is fast growth in sales, marketers' focus should be mainly on obtaining wide distribution so that the product can be made available to all because the demand is already there. One must remember that the competition typically gets so fierce that overall profits for the industry actually start declining before the growth stage is over. And that is why, as we mentioned earlier, profits peak earlier than when the sales peak in the maturity phase. The primary feature of the maturity stage is that the market is not growing anymore. It is a mature, saturated market. Most people own some variant of the product. Now the focus is on competition. Therefore, in this phase, differentiation and positioning are really important for the marketers. Most consumer products, convenience products, shopping products that we buy regularly fall in this category. And this is normally the longest stage of the PLC. Heavy promotion is required to maintain market share. For example, consider the competitive wars between Coke and Pepsi, Budweiser and Miller, and McDonald's against Burger King and Wendy's. This is very typical of the maturity stage of the PLC. And lastly comes the decline stage of the PLC. Products such as CRT TVs, VHS tapes, cassette tapes, etc. have been through this stage and have died. Other products such as newspapers, powdered detergents, etc. are currently in this stage. Their sales growth are declining. The rate of decline depends on how rapidly consumer tastes change or substitute products are adopted. And these are some market developments that take place during the decline stage. Marketing expenses are cut back. Some companies opt out of the market because it's too fierce of a competition, and smaller companies are merged into or acquired by larger ones. So these are the market changes that one can expect to see during a new products PLC. This was a brief discussion on the concept of product life cycle. Next, we will discuss the new product development process.